Hi, 6th grade. This is our addition and subtraction equations video. This is going to be a short one today, but get ready because you're going to have a couple of things that I'm going to need you to write down for notes in addition to your practice problems. So the first thing I want you to write down is this math term, solution. And when we talk about solution today, what we're talking about is the value of the variable that makes an equation true. Now, just as a reminder, a variable is the letter that we use that represents an unknown number. So a solution is going to give us the value of that variable. In other words, we're going to solve for whatever the variable is. We're going to find what the value of that variable is. So let's take a look at how we do that. So here is this algebraic equation that says 4 plus x equals 15. So our goal is to find out, to solve for x. We want to know what x equals. So in order to do that, we're going to follow a process. And what I want you to think about as we're doing this process is that an equation is like a balanced scale, okay? And when a scale is balanced, that means that it's the same on both sides. And so that's what we want for our equations. Okay, we want them to be a balanced scale. So any operation that's performed on one side of the equation, we're going to want to do on the other side as well. And that's going to keep it balanced and equal. So in this case, in order for us to solve for x, we're first going to look and we're going to decide what operation is being performed on the variable x. Well, the operation that's being performed is addition. 4 is being added to x. And so in order to solve for x, what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite or the inverse operation. So instead of adding, we're going to subtract. So this is what that looks like. Okay, we're going to subtract 4 from 4, okay, on the left side. And whatever we do to the left side, we're going to do the right side. So 15 minus 4. So what that does then is that it cancels out on the left-hand side. 4 minus 4, those numbers cancel out each other. So all that's left on the left-hand side is x. And then we perform the operation on the right-hand side, 15 minus 4, and that gives us 11. So the value of x, or the solution, is 11. So now we can go back and we can plug 11 in for x up in that top equation. So now we see that 4 plus 11, because that's the value of x, equals 15. Okay, so we're going to take a few minutes and we're going to practice some of those types of equations. So let's start by doing this, let's start by solving this equation. So again, we have n plus 6 equals 10. So first thing you need to do is determine what operation is being performed on the variable. So in this case, again, 6 is being added to n. So we're going to do the inverse or the opposite operation, which is subtraction. So n plus 6 minus 6 equals 10 minus 6. Because remember, we want to keep this a balanced scale. So what we do to the left, we also do to the right. So those 6's on the left-hand side are going to cancel each other out, and we're just left with n. And then we perform the operation, the subtraction operation, 10 minus 6, and we get 4. So n equals 4. And if we plugged that back into the top, we would see that 4 plus 6 equals 10. Okay, here's another one. I want you guys to pause the video, and I would like for you to solve this one, and I would like for you to find the solution for n. Good job. Okay, so I hope that it didn't throw you off that the variable is now on the right-hand side, because it doesn't matter. Either way, you still perform the same, you still go through the same series of steps in order to solve for n. So hopefully you have an equation that looks like this. 7 minus 2 equals 2 minus 2 plus n. Okay, we have a 5 on the left-hand side because 7 minus 2 equals 5. And then 2, the 2's cancel each other out on the right-hand side, and so 5 equals n, or n equals 5. We could plug that back in to the top, and we could say 7 equals 2 plus 5, and we know that to be true. Now, what if we have an equation that looks like this, where we have more than one number that's being added to the variable? So this is when you're going to put into practice what we actually learned yesterday, or I guess that would be 2 days ago, when we talked about simplifying our equations. So we're going to look for add-ins, and remember, add-ins are numbers that are being added together. We're going to look for add-ins that are similar. And so in this case, we have the 3 and the 7 that are similar because they're both whole numbers. So we're going to add those together in order to simplify this equation. So instead of a plus 3 plus 7 equals 12, we simplify and we say a plus 10 equals 12, because 3 plus 7 equals 10. So a plus 10 equals 12, and then again we want to solve for a. So go ahead and solve for a. Take a minute and pause the video and solve for a. Good job. Okay, so you should have an equation that looks like this. A plus 10 minus 10 equals 12 minus 10. And then a is left on the left-hand side, and 12 minus 10 equals 2. So a equals 2. And believe it or not, boys and girls, that's it. That's all we're doing on our video tonight. I'm just introducing that concept of solving for a variable. We are going to do some more practice with that tomorrow in class, but I just wanted to get you introduced to what the steps are that you follow in order to solve for a variable. Your assignment for tonight, besides your notes, are practice problems 1, 3, and 9 on page 220. Hope you guys have a great night, and I will see you in the morning. Bye-bye.